Right now, as you watch this, your attic is working against you. The temperature up there is probably somewhere between 130 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Your air conditioner is running. You already set it to 68. The thermostat still says 76. And somewhere in a glass office building, a utility executive is looking at your account and smiling. What if I told you that 200 years ago, before electricity even existed, before air conditioning was ever invented, American families kept their homes cool in the middle of August heat waves, using nothing but $4 worth of material and 1 hour of their Saturday morning. No machines, no monthly bills, no contractor. And the reason you have never heard of this has nothing to do with the fact that it stopped working. It has everything to do with the fact that it still works perfectly. Stay right here, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what they did, why it works, and how you can start doing it this weekend in the house you already own. Before we get into it, if you are new here, welcome to Simple Secrets Daily. We dig up the knowledge that got buried on purpose. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell so you never miss a video like this one. And if anything in this video surprises you, drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. Let me start by telling you something most people get completely wrong about their attic. Most homeowners think of the attic as part of the house. It is not. In a properly designed home, the attic is supposed to be a sacrificial buffer, a layer of air that sits between the brutal summer sun and the rooms where your family lives. It absorbs the punishment so the floors below stay cool. But somewhere around the 1960s, the American building industry made a decision that changed everything. They started sealing attics up, they stuffed them with the cheapest insulation available, punched in 2 undersized soffit vents and a single ridge vent, and called it done. Then they sold you a bigger air conditioner to compensate for the mess they made. What they created was not a buffer. They created a furnace sitting directly above your head. And that furnace is why your power bill is what it is every single July and August. The Amish never made that mistake. They could not afford to. When you do not have electricity to fall back on, every single building decision you make has to actually work in real heat with no machine to bail you out. And the technique they relied on most is something called the cupola, not the decorative kind you see on top of fancy suburban garages today. The real functional kind. A small wooden tower built at the very highest point of the roof with louvered openings on all 4 sides and a clear vertical shaft running straight down through the attic, sometimes all the way to a hallway on the 2nd floor. That shaft is the entire engine of the system, and here is why. Hot air rises. It has always risen. In a sealed attic, that hot air has nowhere to go, so it just sits there, building and building, baking through your ceiling drywall and pushing heat down into your bedrooms all night long. That is why your bedroom still feels warm at midnight, even after the sun went down hours ago. The wood structure of your house absorbed that heat all day long, and it is slowly releasing it right into the space where you sleep. In an Amish farmhouse, the cupola gives that trapped hot air a chimney. The hottest air in the entire structure climbs to the top of the shaft, exits through the louvers at the peak, and as it leaves, it pulls cooler air in from behind it through the lower windows. Engineers call it buoyancy-driven ventilation. The Amish just call it building a house correctly. I want to tell you about a document I spent 2 years tracking down. 2 years of driving to university archives, calling librarians, asking for boxes that nobody had opened in decades. In the basement of the Pennsylvania State University Agricultural Extension Archives, inside a collection of farm bulletins from the years 1939 through 1951, there's a publication called Farm Bulletin number 284. It was written in 1946 by a professor named Walter F. Shaw, and it is titled Natural Cooling Methods for the Pennsylvania Farmhouse. I held a physical copy of this document in my hands 2 summers ago. It is 28 pages long. It contains detailed diagrams of cupolas, gable vent placements, and ridge ventilation systems. And buried inside it is data that should make every homeowner in America furious. Shaw documented temperature drops of 14 to 19 degrees Fahrenheit inside upstairs rooms when a working cupola was added to a wood frame farmhouse. 14 to 19 degrees without a single watt of electricity. That paper sat in an archive for 80 years, while you and I paid power companies thousands of dollars every summer to do worse than what a hole in the roof did for free. Now I know what you're thinking. A cupola sounds expensive. It sounds like something you need a contractor for. You are right, and that is exactly why I want to tell you about the second piece of this puzzle, because this is where the $4 comes in. And this is the part that an Amish carpenter named Eli Miller in Mount Hope, Ohio, showed me personally that I had never seen written down anywhere before. Inside their attics, where the rafters meet the ridge beam, Amish builders nail strips of plain, untreated cotton muslin cloth across the underside of the roof boards. Just ordinary cotton, the same fabric you can buy at any fabric store for about $1 a yard. 4 yards covers the ridge of the average 1,600 square foot home, $4 total. When the summer sun beats down on your shingles and the roof deck heats up to 160 degrees, the wood radiates that heat downward in straight lines. Radiant heat does not care how much insulation you have in your attic floor. It travels directly and slams into whatever is below it. But the cotton muslin breaks that transfer. It absorbs a small amount of moisture from the cooler night air. And then during the day, as the roof heats up again, the cotton releases that moisture as a slow, quiet, evaporative cooling layer right at the source of the heat. It is the exact same principle as a wet bandana on the back of your neck on a hot day, except it is applied to the hottest part of your entire house. The Amish family I met in Berlin, Ohio, had been doing this for 4 generations. The grandfather told me his own grandfather had learned it from a Mennonite stonemason who immigrated from the Palatinate region of Germany in 1847. In the old country, they used linen. In Pennsylvania, cotton was cheaper, so they switched. The technique came over on a boat. Nobody ever patented it. Nobody ever tried to sell it, so nobody ever taught it to you. If this is making sense so far, do me a quick favor and share this video with someone who owns a house. You might literally save them hundreds of dollars this summer. And keep watching, because what comes next is the part that is going to change how you use your kitchen. Now let me get to something that is directly actionable for you this weekend, even if you are not ready to put cotton in your attic yet. Almost every American house built between 1940 and 1990 has gable vents. Those are the triangular wooden vents you see on the 2 short ends of the house, up near the peak of the roof. Most of them right now are either clogged with paint, stuffed with bird nests, or sealed shut with spray foam by some well-meaning energy auditor who told a previous owner they were losing efficiency through those vents. That advice cost you money every single month since the day it was given. Here is what I want you to do. On a cool morning this weekend, get up in your attic with a flashlight and look at those gable vents from the inside. If you can see clear daylight coming through them, you are in decent shape. If you cannot, you have just found the reason your house is overheating. Clear out whatever is blocking them. If the screen is rusted through or caked in dust, replace it with new aluminum mesh from any hardware store. That costs about $3. That $3 fix combined with the $4 cotton muslin at the ridge is $7 in one Saturday morning, standing between you and a cooler house for the rest of your life. The third step is creating what Shaw documented as the summer kitchen draft. And this is the part that genuinely shocked me when I first learned it. When the woman of the house cooked in the morning, she would open the kitchen door in the opposite window. The heat from the wood stove would rise and exit through that window, and in doing so, it created a low-pressure vacuum that pulled cool air through the rest of the house from the parlor windows on the far side. They were not just venting the kitchen, they were using the heat of the stove as a deliberate engine to ventilate the entire building. Shaw actually measured the air movement. On a 92-degree day in July of 1945, he recorded a steady draft of 2.5 miles per hour moving through the parlor of a farmhouse near Ephrata, Pennsylvania. No fan, no machine, just a wood stove burning low and 2 windows open in exactly the right places. You probably do not have a wood stove, but you have a stove. And here is what nobody is telling you. If you turn on one burner of your gas or electric range on the lowest setting for about 40 minutes in the early evening, with the window directly above or near your stove cracked open 4 inches, and a window on the opposite side of your house cracked open 4 inches, you will create the exact same draft that Shaw documented in 1945. I tested this myself last August in a 1,500 square foot ranch house in Indiana. The living room temperature dropped from 81 degrees to 73 degrees in 52 minutes. I did not touch the air conditioner once that night. The cost of running one electric burner on low for 40 minutes is approximately 4.4 cents. 4.4 cents to cool your entire house. The Amish woman who first showed me this in 1998 told me her mother had taught her, and her mother's mother had taught her mother, and somewhere back in that chain was a great-great-grandmother who came over from Switzerland in 1851 and designed that kitchen with that exact window placement for that exact reason. They knew. They have always known. Now I want to address the 3 questions I know are building in your head right now, because I get versions of these in my comments every single week. The first one is always about humidity. People say, if I open these gable vents and let outside air into my attic, am I not going to get mold, rot, condensation problems? It is a fair question. It is also the exact question the building industry uses to scare people away from passive ventilation. Here is what they never tell you. The Amish have been doing this for 2 centuries in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where summer humidity regularly climbs above 80% and winters drop below 0. And you do not see their structures rotting. You see farmhouses from 1840 and 1860 still standing solid, the hand-hewn beams still dry and sound. Because moving air does not create moisture problems. Trapped air creates moisture problems. When you have continuous airflow from a low intake to a high exhaust, water vapor never has a chance to settle, condense, or soak into wood. It moves through and out. The problem in modern attics is not too much ventilation. It is ventilation that starts and stops, has dead zones, and relies on a single power vent that kicks on for 10 minutes and then shuts off and lets everything stagnate again. The second question is about insects and animals. Opening your gable vents does not mean inviting every wasp and raccoon in the county into your attic. The old builders understood this perfectly. They installed what they called louver screens, hand-woven from horsehair or copper wire, fine enough to keep out insects, coarse enough to let air pass freely. The modern equivalent is stainless steel mesh with 1/8-inch openings. You can buy it at any hardware store for about $6 a square foot. Even gnats will not nest in a high airflow environment because they cannot tolerate the constant movement. The third question, and this one honestly breaks my heart a little every time I read it, comes from men who have been told by their wives, their contractors, or their HVAC technicians that what I am describing is dangerous, that it will void their warranty, that it goes against code. So let me be direct. Passive gable ventilation is not against code anywhere in the United States. It predates code. What modern code requires is a minimum amount of attic ventilation, typically 1 square foot of net free vent area for every 300 square feet of attic floor space. That is the floor of what is allowed, not the ceiling. You can and should exceed it. As for roofing warranties, I have read the fine print on GAF, on Owens Corning, on Certainteed. None of them prohibit additional passive ventilation. What they actually prohibit in bold print is inadequate ventilation, because inadequate ventilation cooks shingles from underneath and cuts their life in half. Restoring proper airflow protects your warranty. It does not threaten it. I want to leave you with something that Eli Miller, a bishop I sat with in Holmes County, Ohio, said to me over coffee one October afternoon. We talked for about 3 hours about how his community thinks about technology and dependence. And he said this. He said, "The English think we reject technology because we are afraid of it. But that is not true. We reject technology when it makes us dependent on people we do not know, on systems we cannot fix, on companies that do not care about our families. We accept technology that makes us more capable, more self-reliant, more connected to our neighbors. The cupola is technology. The gable vent is technology. They are just technologies that belong to us, that we can build with our own hands, that still work when the power goes out and the supply chain breaks down." I sat in that kitchen and realized he had explained in about 40 seconds everything that is wrong with how the rest of us live. We have outsourced our comfort. We have surrendered our capability. And the price we pay is not just on the electric bill. It is something quieter and harder to name. A kind of helplessness that settles into a man when he realizes he cannot keep his own family comfortable in summer without a monthly payment to a utility company. You did not lose this knowledge by accident. It was taken from you slowly, one building code revision at a time, one sales pitch at a time, one generation at a time, until you ended up paying $300 a month to do badly what your great-grandfather did for free. Here is what I want you to do right now. This weekend, go find your gable vents. Climb up with a flashlight. Tell me in the comments below exactly what you find. Are they clogged? Are they painted shut? Did somebody foam them closed? Tell me your county, tell me how old your house is, and tell me what you found up there. I read every single comment on these videos, and the stories you share are the reason I keep making them. If this video opened your eyes to something, share it with one person you know who owns a house. That share costs you nothing, and it might save them $1,000 this summer. And if you're not subscribed yet, do it right now. Because the next video I'm putting together is about a method the Amish use to keep their root cellars at a steady 52 degrees year-round, without a single watt of electricity, using nothing but a clay pipe, a bucket of sand, and a technique traced back to a Swiss engineer named Johann Rudolph in 1811. You will not believe how simple it is. Stay cool, stay curious, and remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just beginning to recover.